Grace to you and peace in Jesus Christ our Lord. Thank you for being back into cathedral routines, especially this 10:10 hour on Sunday mornings. Some of you know that this hour has changed over the times that I've been here. It's often called the Dean's Forum. It was an incessant Dean's Forum. People got tired of the Dean's Forum. And so we turned it over to George Maxwell, who usually runs a class in here called Old-Fashioned Sunday School, OFSS, which typically meets here at 10:10. But occasionally we return to something like a Dean's Forum, and occasionally we return to something like a Sunday Forum, especially welcoming and benefiting from guests. And so this morning we are giving thanks for the Cathedral Giving by Design, the new iteration of what used to be the Antique Show, and the beneficiary that they are supporting this year. I give thanks for the Ansley School. I give thanks for Cathedral Giving by Design chairs, Sarah Blackwell and Tucker Mahoney. But the person I'm introducing today, who's going to do the rest of the introductions, is another person I give thanks for, our Canon for Outreach, the Reverend Canon Julia Mitchner. Thank you, Julia, for overseeing all these events and so many more. I think Julia is going to give our prayer and give our opening, but again, thank you for being here on Sundays at 10:10. No matter what's going on in this room, holy things happen across the campus. Julia Mitchner.
Thank you, Dean Candler. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks for creating your children for community, for drawing us into relationships that nurture us and inspire us and stretch us, calling us to become ever more faithful, more loving, more giving people. Bless the relationships we commit ourselves to this day with our sisters and brothers at the Ansley School through the ministry of Cathedral Giving by Design. Thank you for all that we can learn from these, our new friends, about the triumph of life over death, of hope over despair, of tenacity over resignation. Show each of us here this day, show each person in this parish how we can do our part to work for a world in which no child is abandoned to cynicism or apathy, a world in which everyone has a place to call home, a world in which everyone has a stable, encouraging environment in which to pursue dreams and realize their full potential. Kindle our hearts, O God, open our minds, direct our wills to be your partners in the quest for a more loving, just, and peaceful world. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. They have already been introduced, but just a moment of privilege. And you all know that Dean Candler said someone once told him he had too many notes. You all know me well enough by now to know that sometimes I have too many words. But I have to just tell you that I have been looking forward to this day, September 10th, and this presentation so much ever since we had made the announcement that the beneficiaries of the 2024 Cathedral Giving by Design program would be the Boyce L. Ansley School. I can't say enough about how much I love the Ansley School, and I also can't say enough about how much I love working with the Cathedral Giving by Design Committee, and especially with our wonderful and fearless leaders, Tucker Mahoney and Sarah Blackwood. So thank you both so much. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Sarah and Tucker, and they're going to introduce our friends from the Ansley School.
Good morning. I need some notes. Thank you, Dean Candler and Julia, for the wonderful introduction and for entrusting Tucker and myself to chair this wonderful event. Cathedral Giving by Design is a 2-day event held this coming January 19th and 20th. Please save the date. Y'all should receive some more info if you have not already soon. But we are building on the 50-year history of the Cathedral Antique Show. The event celebrates the long tradition of design and hospitality in our church community and in the Atlanta community. Perhaps most importantly, it raises critically needed funds for local nonprofit beneficiary. This year, Tucker and I are ecstatic and honored to be partnering with the Boyce L. Ansley School. The Ansley School is a tuition-free private school for children experiencing homelessness and provides vital support services for families to break generational cycles of poverty and housing insecurity. The school offers rigorous, high-quality education and collaborative family support while taking into consideration the unique traumas associated with experiencing homelessness. Let me take a minute to give kudos to our beneficiary committee. As we learned, the process of selecting a beneficiary is very thorough. We had wonderful applications and then went on 3 site visits. But I think I can speak for Tucker and myself that we walked into the Ansley School. Those children ran up, gave us hugs, and we both left. It was our first site visit, and we were like, this is it. This is it. And thankfully, it all worked out. So I'm going to hand it over to Tucker to make some introductions, but we are excited for y'all to learn about our amazing beneficiary for 2024.
Thank you, Sarah. And we do have several members of the Ansley community with us today, which is so wonderful that they are giving of their time on a Sunday morning to be here. We have Martha Moore, who's the Director of Development at the school, Keith Hardrick, who is the school social worker and coordinating all of those fabulous services that are needed and are so beneficial to the students and families. And we have Ann Portman, who is a very active and involved member of the Board of Directors. And we are so thankful they're here with us this morning. If you were at the ECW luncheon in the spring, you heard from the Ansley School head of school at the time, Dr. Leah Skinner. And you may be wondering why we don't have a head of school here today. Dr. Skinner received a fabulous new opportunity earlier last month, and she has moved out of state, which creates an excellent opportunity for the Ansley School to chart their next chapter as they seek to educate children from kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. Working with their board of directors, with their staff, we are confident that the mission of the school is strong, the support of the broader Atlanta community is robust, and that this will be an incredible opportunity for a new head of school to come in and steer the Ansley School into the next chapter. But it also means that this partnership with the Cathedral and with Cathedral Giving by Design is all the more critical for the Ansley School. We are so excited to broaden their community and build up their community within Atlanta. And we are so excited to raise a lot of money for them because that is what is needed to get the 5th grade in there. Yay, thank you guys. So without further ado, I am going to pass the mic to Martha Moore, their Director of Development, who is going to kick things off for the school.
Thank you, Tucker. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you to a wonderful committee that has already put in so much work, and we have a lot to learn from in the way that this committee is run. I'm going to start this with a video many of you may have seen already, but it is just so powerful. If we can get it here, it sets the tone for all that we're going to tell you today. Let's go.
What do you see? Do you see me? My world is very different than yours. I'm surviving, moving through our city in the dark. I am invisible. I know I am full of potential, determined, independent, and strong. But I'm fearful that no one will see who I can be.
So for us, visibility is seeing our kids beyond their circumstance. It's seeing their full potential. It's seeing their families grow beyond their current circumstance, because homelessness is just that. It's just a circumstance. It is just a small moment in time. And at this school, our job is to take those families and make sure that they grow and develop beyond homelessness. So we are currently in our temporary space, and we are pre-K through second grade. We'll be adding a third grade next year, which will total us to be at 60 kids. And so we will be looking for a new space after next year because we will be at capacity, and we're going to continue to grow our program by adding a grade each year through 8th grade. That is our goal. So what makes us different and what separates us from everybody else is the services that we provide for not just the child, but the entire family. Our kids cannot succeed, cannot grow, cannot develop unless their entire family is doing the same. And so we focus on employment services for family, homeless services for family, and therapeutic services for family so that the entire child, the entire family is whole. This is our city. These are our kids, and I'm inviting you to join our village to help open the doors to make sure that our families and our children are seen.
What do I see? I see the city, the world opening its doors, because I am not invisible.
That's really hard to follow. Keith and I have talked about no matter how many times we see that, especially when you know you have to talk afterwards. So give me just a second here, and we'll start. Okay. So I'm Martha Moore, Director of Development at the Boyce L. Ansley School. I have been in independent school development for many years, and there are families here that I supported in the school that their children attended, and education is a great thing to support. And it was just a time in my life that I needed to do a little bit more, and I was praying for what that would be, and this opportunity just kind of came right in front of my face, and I said, this is where I'm meant to be, support teachers who support children, but when I support teachers who support these children, it really means, something to me every day. So thank you again. You're going to hear that over and over, how honored we are, how privileged we feel to be supported and to be selected by this incredible committee and church community for this opportunity. And it just seems really fun. I can't wait for the event. I love homes and home shows and all the design features, so that's a lot of fun. So I'll tell you a little. I think you got it in the intro and you got it in the video of our mission. But just to reiterate, private school that's tuition free. So we provide everything that many of our own children or ourselves we've had in a school, in a private school or in a public school, private school that is tuition free to these children. Doesn't mean that it is free education because we pay everybody who's in those doors. We pay highly trained teachers to be there. They're trauma trained. Keith will get into the specifics of that. So they're very highly qualified teachers who are, in the classrooms. We keep the classrooms very small size, about 15 per classroom, so they can get the individual attention. Again, Keith will get into this, but that's just something to reiterate of we know them in the morning. This voice I hear in the, many times over every morning. And they're just happy children to come in. And they're just there to get an education. They're just there to go to school. But for what we do for their families is give that confidence, that security. For the children, we give stability in education and staying with their friends no matter what is going on in their lives. So they may, again, Keith is going to get into this, but they're not necessarily homeless at this moment, but they have experienced the trauma of homelessness at some point. And that's not something that goes away quickly. One of the things I wanted to go quickly about, let's see here. Here's our mission, what we offer, the family support, and the therapeutic services. But getting back real quick to just where we were founded. We were founded by two really strong, wonderful women who not only care about the community, but knew how to put their thoughts and ideas and big dreams into action. So Kate Kennedy founded the school through St. Luke's Episcopal Church with her friend, and many of you may know, Boyce L. Ansley. I did not have the privilege of knowing her, but I feel that we were in the same circles somewhat because she was honored by the association that I'm a part of. And in 1997, it was close to the beginning of my time in development, and she was honored for her volunteer philanthropy work in the community. And just reading about her, of knowing what a fundraiser, a natural fundraiser she was, I do wish that I could have learned from her. And to know that her friend Kate founded this and then named it after her. And I have met her husband, who's delightful. And so just a community member, again, who knew how to dream and knew how to make it, put it into action. So that's incredible. And happy to be a part of that. Very proud to be a part of that. So we began as a preschool in the church, in St. Luke's Church. We're now across the street in downtown Atlanta, the heart of downtown. And education is first and foremost our mission, but the wraparound family services are really what makes us unique, because for a child to have education and for this to really work and to move them through the generational poverty, beyond their circumstances and beyond generational poverty, it really has to be addressing the whole family and what they go home to every night. So Keith, I'm going to turn it over to you. Keith is our director of, come on up. He's going to talk about some areas that he's not in, but he's going to cover the academics and the social service, family services, and therapeutic.
All right. Good morning. How y'all doing? And I want to say thank you for coming and listening to our presentation this morning. And I want to say thank you for helping me out over there. Every time I watch that video, I get very emotional. It's only because I know the actual stories, every individual story. And this is something I wanted to be a part of. Let me tell you a little about me. I'm from Atlanta, born and raised here. I was educated in the Atlanta public school system. And I remember having a school social worker that I didn't know what his role was at my school. I just knew that he was the only guy in my school. And so this guy, we would call him Uncle. Interesting. And Uncle Jones. Uncle Jones would come and he would help us out during Christmas time. I grew up in the Mechanicsville area of Atlanta. And so he would come over and bring us Christmas gifts, and he would connect our parents to resources sometimes, but never knew what his role was. And I'll give it about 25 years later, I decided that I wanted to go to graduate school and get my master's in social work. And I was honored to be able to do it within the Atlanta public school system. And so, lo and behold, here's my intern coach, Uncle Jones. And Mr. Jones, of course, helped me with learning the path of how to work with families in public schools. And so upon graduating, I started, and a lot of people say you can't get in the school district, but I got in. And I got in, and I didn't like what was going on. And what I mean by that is that as a school social worker, my primary job was just controlling attendance and making sure kids were in zone for school. And that's not what I went to school for. And so I lost purpose, and then I left and I started working for Hope Atlanta. And that's when I had my first experience with homelessness in the city of Atlanta. It was out at the airport, actually. A lot of people don't know that we have homelessness at the airport. And when I got out there, it was about 400 people that would come into the airport at night, all experience homelessness. And so my job was, of course, connect them to resources and get them on their path to housing. I did that for a little while, and I was checking the web one day, and I saw this Ansley School. And I started reading over, I started like stalking the school in so many ways. I was like, I gotta be there. I wanna be a part of this. And I applied for the therapist position, and I didn't get it. But Dr. Skinner called me and said, you know what, I wanna interview you for another role. And it was the school social work position. But not only that, it was already a school social worker there. And so you mean to tell me you're gonna have 2 school social workers in one school? Small school at that. And so it was a no-brainer. I got in, and it's been beautiful ever since. And I'm gonna go into a little bit about that. I'm gonna start with the academics. Of course, like she said, our kids get a rigorous education from qualified, experienced teachers. They are, of course, all certified through the state of Georgia. And we use Amplify for our reading and Single Port for our math. And so all of our kids are tested through what we call MAP testing. And that helps us to know where they are. Now, at the Ansley School, we don't like to hold kids back. So what we do is grades K through 3, we have intensive teachers that steps in to do interventions. So they do pull-outs. And so this gives the kids the opportunity to get some one-on-one and be able to catch up on their grade level. And that helps out so many ways. We create personalized academic plans for our students because we don't have special ed services. And so we try to create plans that will help each student. Kids are also provided with uniforms and 3 nutritional meals. Of course, that includes breakfast. We give them a snack around 10, and then, of course, lunch at the end of the day. Enrichment opportunities, we just started back this month. So the first month of school, we wanted to get the kids acclimated with coming back to school. Traditionally, every day they go outside and have recess. That's important. You got to get the energy out of the kids so you can teach them. We offer Taekwondo, theater arts through our Shakespeare Tavern right across from Emory. We have the gardening at St. Luke Church. So I remember last year our second graders started a green leaf patch. And so we were able to eat some of the romaine lettuce that they created or helped grow. The music, of course, and trauma yoga. Trauma yoga and what's the other one we do? Moving in Spirits. Those classes are very interesting because it gets the wiggles out of the kids, and at the same time they learn some different techniques. We, of course, started with the STEAM activities through the Children's Museum last year, and they are walking distance from us, so with the joy of getting a school bus last year, we didn't have to walk anymore. But it's good to have that, and so the kids really enjoy the Children's Museum.
Do we talk about transportation? I was going to say, while we're on education, do we have that in
comes
there?
up, yeah. All right, so intense family support. So this is what we consider our wraparound. Our wraparound is so intense, I love it, because with our families, it's no family at our school that we don't know, like, what's going on. And that's because each year, we have our families do it 3 times a year. The beginning of the year, mid-year, which is December, January, and at the end of the year, where we have them to do family success plans. That's basically sitting down with your social worker, creating a plan for you. That means if you want to go back to school, or if you want to find employment or make extra income, we're going to connect you to those resources. Currently, I had a mom that I was working with. She had no work experience, and we helped create a resume. We helped some interviewing skills, so I prepped her for interviews, and she has a janitorial position where she went from making $0 an hour to now about $15 an hour. And so that's really good, because with that, in the shelter that we currently got her connected, if she could provide 2 months of paycheck stubs, I'll be able to help her out with housing through Crossroads. So being able to be connected to resources is one of the best things about our school. We're partnering with the local shelters, so Gateway, Salvation Army, my sister house. All of those are great partners. Solomon Temple, can't forget about them. They're our partners, and they help us out when we have moms that we come across. Last year, I found a mom in a tent with 2 small children, and that was heartbreaking. But at the same time, we were able to get her out that tent, and with donations, we were able to put her in a temporary hotel for at least 2 weeks until I got her connected to a shelter. And now that family is thriving. Those kids are at our school, and they're now on grade level, and we're able to support the family with MARTA cards to get them back and forth to the shelter so they can get to school. We were able to get them 3 uniforms so that they now have, and connect them to clothes closets so that we could close them throughout the year. We have a full-time therapist at our school, which is phenomenal because it's 3 social workers total. She's a licensed clinical social worker. And so with her support, she's able to provide trauma-based therapy and empower our teachers on new techniques that are now about. Like I know we did restorative justice last year because we're in an environment where we don't want to suspend kids. We, of course, want to have them to talk through things and make sure they understand what it was that they did. And so that's a new technique. Yes. Let's see. And of course, I just spoke about a little bit about trauma-informed therapy. And so in our environment, the therapists, the kids, if they are having a bad day or is experiencing some things, they can actually ask their teacher, can I step out for a moment and speak with the therapist or the social worker? And so at that moment, they can come to us and have a conversation. And of course, we meet with either the teacher or the parent or whatever the problem, or another student. Or maybe, they just adjusted. I had a kid that just adjusted to ADHD medication. And so it made him really sleepy. And so in our school environment, if kids are exhausted and they're burned out, we don't push them. We, of course, allow them to take naps because we don't know exactly where they slept at last night or what the environment was like. Because last week I had 2 kids that the AC was broken at the shelter. And so they were sleeping in uncomfortable environments. And so, of course, at the school, we allowed them to get a nap in and join their friends for lunch and then go back to class. We partner with the Richmond University Center, and so they, of course, provide therapists and interns to come into our school to work with our younger kids, grades K through 3. And with that kind of takes the load off the school therapists. So now that you have extra support, and of course, providing some techniques and trainings for our teachers because they push into the classrooms. And so in many cases, there's always at least 2 people minimum in the classroom with supporting the teacher.
I think that's it.
All righty.
We'll have time. Ooh, it's very loud. We'll have time for questions for Keith, I know, in just a minute. But let me introduce you to one of our board members, Ann Portman, director of our development committee, but just all-around great board member and passionate. Ann?
Hi, everyone. I am so grateful that you welcomed us into your community. Thank you for taking some time with us this morning to learn more about what we're doing. We're so honored to be the beneficiary of this amazing upcoming event. Like Martha, I'm very excited to attend myself. It does sound like it's going to be so much fun, but the material and just community support that it will provide for the Ansley community, I cannot reiterate enough how beneficial that will be for us, so thank you. I have been honored to serve on the Ansley School Board since fall of 2021. I was introduced to the school by a friend in 2020 when I was feeling personally overwhelmed, right, by the depth of the struggles that people were experiencing in our community, and that so many of us were suddenly made aware of how precarious the lives of so many of our fellow citizens were. And that feeling of being overwhelmed was real and deep for me, and I was unsure about how to overcome it. And I was introduced sort of serendipitously to the Ansley School by a friend of mine, and I thought, oh my goodness, you overcome it one family and one child at a time. And this is something that I can do and have an immediate impact, a positive impact on the lives of children who, because of the circumstances they are in, need our support. And so I found a little bit of a sense of purpose at a very troubling time, and I have been involved ever since. You step into the school, like Tucker and Sarah said, you meet the children, and you cannot say no to them. You say, yes, I am going to do everything I can to be your advocate. And so that is what I've tried to do. Like Martha said, this is a private school experience that children have. It's more robust than a private school in a lot of ways because of the many support services that Keith just described. It is tuition free for all of our families, and so we do need support from the community in order to sustain the work. We have been blessed from the inception of the Ansley School to receive that support and to grow that support as the school has grown. Like Martha said, it started as a preschool in the basement of St. Luke's with a budget of about $300,000. And now we serve between 60 and 70 students, right, Keith? And all of their families, grades K through 4, soon to be 5 with the help of Cathedral Giving by Design, with a budget of just over $2 million. There are a lot of adults that are involved in taking care of these children, and we want to be a place where their expertise and their skill is acknowledged and compensated. We occupy a space that has had to grow, so we are located on Ralph McGill downtown. We've had to expand and rent an additional floor in our space so that we can grow our school. And so as these costs are ones that are daily and ongoing and monthly because we are paying for our operation. And so we have been so blessed that people who learn about the work that's being done and who are moved by the mission that work is trying to achieve have been willing to support that work in a material way. Let's see, did I miss anything? We can go into the news if you want to talk about. Yeah, so we've been blessed because the people who learn about the Ansley School do tend to be moved by it and tell their friends. And sometimes those friends tell their friends too. And we get the beautiful snowball effect of ambassadorship. And we have been honored to be featured in several news stories. Our profile is growing across Atlanta. Of course, we think that the upcoming Cathedral event will be so beneficial for awareness, which is one of the main reasons we are excited about being named the beneficiary. But here is a recent news story that goes into some detail about the work as well.
A school in the heart of downtown Atlanta, helping students beyond the walls of the classroom.
And helping them find a safe place to call home as well. Atlanta News First Asia Wilson explains how the Ansley School is changing lives while growing.
The walls of the Ansley School are vibrant in color, but many of the students who walk the halls are facing a dark reality.
Families who don't eat or who might be sleeping in cars, who are living in tents with little girls.
For about 4 months in 2021, Tess Gibson and her 2 boys, both 5 and 8, experienced a similar story. Previously, she was working a part-time job, only making $9 an hour.
During the day, looking for shelter at night. At times, it was really hard not knowing when we're gonna get up in the morning, how we're gonna shower, how we're gonna get to school.
She's not alone.
Parents come here with issues with being able to provide food for their families, gas support, transportation, mental illnesses.
Since 2018, the school has been helping with all of that, and this year, they're providing 75 kids in K through 4th grades with first-class education, along with social and emotional support.
On-school counseling for my children so that they have a place to talk about what they experienced during homelessness.
And there's help for parents, too. Each one is connected with a social worker who creates a family success plan, which helps them get back up again.
My car broke down, my engine blew, and they put me in contact with another resource.
They helped her get this brand new car, and along with finding an apartment and fully furnished it. She also now has a new job working for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, all because of the personal assistance.
It helps me dream the dreams I didn't know I had.
As the school works to expand to 8th grade each year.
Homelessness is increasing, especially in the city of Atlanta.
They want your help to continue their mission of creating more narratives of breaking generational poverty.
It is extremely important for your donations because, again, we're privately ran, so every dollar counts.
Now, this year, the Ansley School received $50,000 from the mayor's Year of the Youth grant, which they've been using it to help families avoid evictions and their lights being turned off. It's why they would love your partnership with you to help them with many more resources in the community and, of course, financial support. Back to you guys.
We're wishing them much success. Thank you, Asia.
I love what Miss Gibson says in that interview, that the Ansley School and the support it provides helps her dream the dream she didn't know she had. It is just a circumstance. Miss Gibson and her 2 boys are one of the many beautiful success stories of the Ansley School. I feel so, so honored to be a tiny, tiny part of that work. I'm gonna start crying if I keep talking. I'm gonna start crying if I keep talking.
Thank you, Anne. And I think that ends our presentation, but we're open to questions. Does anybody have?
Hey, so I have a question. What is different about what you do from what Cristo Rey School does?
That's a great question, because that is our plan, that we are just a different age group from the most part. We do, I don't know their mission very well, but we are connected to them in many ways. We have 11 of their students coming over to be interns for us for the school year, or for the whole school year. And then the plan is when we grow to 8th grade, that they will take our children. That will be where they grow to, as long as they're not more than 2 grades behind.
People may not know what Cristo Rey is.
Well, I've only recently become more acquainted with their programming, but Cristo Rey is another school downtown that serves a similar population, under-resourced families. They have a very sort of like skill-focused program, and they do work with many businesses and institutions around the city so that their students intern in those organizations as a part of their education. They also have a fantastic, I just learned about this, post-graduation program so that those children receive support after they move out of that institution as well. And it's a very engaged approach to education. Our students are younger, right? We have the goal of going through 8th grade. Cristo Rey serves 9 through 12. And so we have a wonderful sort of almost mentorship relationship with them as well. They grew from a startup school like ours into an amazing, well-run and well-recognized organization.
And I have to confess, Anne, that was a setup question. Our Scholars Program that is sending 13 deserving and students with financial need to college and technical schools this year through the generosity of this parish has about 6 of our students that we have had apply and have gotten grants from us from Cristo Rey.
Wonderful.
It is one of my biggest dreams that
That is a very exciting announcement. Let's talk later.
Two unrelated questions, but do you guys get any per pupil funding, like from the Atlanta Public School District or the state, or McKinney-Vento funding? And then the second question is, do you have a faith-based portion of your curriculum as you're related to St. Luke's?
I'll answer the funding. We do qualify for Title I, Title III and IV, I believe. We get, it's very small. It's very small for that. But I'll use this opportunity to say how incredible the Georgia Tax Scholarship Program is. Little bit complicated, but really very simple, that it is a Georgia program that you can give some of your taxes, if it's a corporation, a lot of your Georgia state taxes to an individual private school. You can only do this for a private school. And that helps us pay for some of those scholarships as well. So that's an incredible program for us that really, you have to pay those taxes anyway. So I believe it's on our website. If it's not, please contact me, but talk to your financial advisors. And if you're not already taking advantage of that opportunity personally or professionally, that helps us tremendously because every one of those children qualify for that program. Does that answer your question on that one? And then the faith-based, we don't.
We do not have a faith-based program. It's an inclusive program. We have been so blessed to be supported by faith-driven communities. I do believe that the work and the connection with St. Luke's is robust and is one of the reasons that the Ansley School was able to become what it has become, is because of the support of faith communities in this city, including Cathedral. We've had Lauren Holder as a former board member as well, and there has been quiet support from many, perhaps sitting in this room over the years, and so we're just so grateful for that support, but it does not play a factor in the curriculum. Mm-hmm.
So I apologize if this was already mentioned, but how do you connect with the families that end up coming to the school?
Good question. Most of the time, due to the partnerships with our local shelters, they make recommendation if a family come in with small age children, they would connect with us through that way. Yep. And then of course people can apply on our website. So of course to be a student at our school, you have to experience homelessness at some point in your life. You don't currently have to be homeless, so that they can still get those enrichment skills from us and supportive services from what we provide. And so, yes.
We're in our startup phase. Right now we serve K through 4th grade. Our goal is to be able to sustain the work to become a K through 8th grade institution. And hopefully our students at that point are ready to matriculate into a robust high school program, hopefully at Cristo Rey, that does continue those familial interactions and supports. Right now, we grow with the kids. They set the pace. So our 4th graders, many of them were those pre-K kids 6 years ago when the Ansley School came into being. And so we have to just keep going because they are going to 5th grade next year. So, and we're not gonna abandon them, right? So they will go to the Ansley School, and we will next year be a K through 5 school, and then K through 6 all the way to 8th. And then hopefully we can use our community partners to make sure that they are set up to succeed 9 through 12 as well. Potentially, it depends on the situation of the family, right? Our families are scattered throughout the city. It may be the case that by the time our kids are 8th graders and ready to move to 9th grade, their family is set up in an area where they do want to take advantage of the public school. Or they may be in a situation where the Cristo Rey program seems like a really great fit for that child and their skills and their desires. And so we can partner with them to apply them into Cristo Rey, right? But our goal is to get them to 14 years old, 9th grade, and ready to succeed in the situation that they're in at that point.
But I think what we will do to follow up on that is not just, send them out of the nest, but we will be, whether they go to a public school or to Cristo Rey, or we had Drew Charter School talking about how if they're in the Atlanta area that they may also qualify for that, and they would love to have our families. So I think we're going to have schools fighting over our families if we do our job really well, and then we will be tracking their success along the way.
I imagine many of the families, many of the students come from single-parent households. In terms of therapy services, is there anything being done to promote fatherhood and strengthen the family dynamic?
Oh, that's my specialty there. And so, of course, being in an environment, because of Uncle Jones that I spoke about, one of my biggest things that I wanted to do was promote fathers in the school. And so I partnered with the Fatherhood Initiative, and they, of course, come into our school and recruit dads to go through a rigorous 8-week training program. These dads are learning, if they're not married, how to legitimize their kids so that they can have equal rights to, and just empowering them, giving them access to legal services. And then they have a whole graduation where they bring the dads together, bring out their families, and just connect them to all the resources possible. And then I like to have like a dad's corner. I did maybe 2 last year. Just trying to promote it. And because most of the time dads are working. And so it's hard to get them, but just trying to get on their time. So even if it was just connecting them to that fatherhood initiative, and then that was that one Saturday that we would at least see each other, because most people are available on weekends. And so that's just one initiative that we connected our dads to.
We have some active next groups here at the Cathedral that might have some energy.
Oh, yes. We open to it.
If that were needed and welcome. Just guessing, I don't know.
Got a question in the back?
Hey, just a quick shout out for that program that was mentioned earlier. I think it's the GOAL program, GOAL. It's a complete no-brainer. Everybody in this room can absolutely do it. Susan and I do it. You write a check, I think it's for $2,000. It goes into the program. You designate the private school. The school just has to use that money for scholarships. And then you get a $2,000 tax credit on your Georgia return. So it costs you absolutely nothing. So I can affirmatively state everybody in this room could absolutely do it. It's a great idea, complete no-brainer, great school to give it to.
The money to them, they give it to us, you get 100% credit on that.
Thank you.
I was just curious. Microphones are so weird. I was just curious. This is such an exciting thing. I'm so grateful that y'all are making us aware of this. It's so great that there's something like this in our community. Sounds like y'all are pretty new, though, and that donations really go far. Like you're talking about, you've already got goals to add like in 8th grade. Like, so I just wanted to just echo that, like just how exciting it is that your donations go so far. And so there's just not a lot of places like this. Thanks.
Thank you. They do go far, and they, I'll say that, Ann kind of mentioned it, operations is obviously very expensive because the adults in the room that are making this happen, they don't. Somebody did say, oh, it's free tuition. Yes, it's free tuition, but it's not free to provide. And the $2.2 million budget, operations into the programs, transportation is very costly. We have, I don't think we went into that. We have 2 buses that go throughout the city that pick these students up, not necessarily from a bus stop, but from where they are. And so the 2 buses go to where these children are, bring them in, and in the afternoon, take them back to their home facility.
Can I tell a quick story about the bus? When my first board meeting, I was so thankful that the parent organization was scheduled to speak to the board at that meeting. And part of the conversation was like, okay, y'all tell us what you need more help with. What are we doing well and what can we improve on? And they said, we would really love to have a bus. We know that is a lot, right? But some of these parents were trying to get their kids to the Ansley School downtown from all over the metro area on their own, which takes just hours out of their day. And so they said, if you can make it happen, please try. We had this call from the parents, and we were able to make it happen thanks to the generosity of the Atlanta community. So that's our approach, right? It's my approach as a board member to be like, what is working and what can we do better? And we'll just continue to try to leverage the generosity of the folks of Atlanta to make this happen.
Yeah, just to add on to that, the buses go through the metro Atlanta area, so they are going down into Clayton County, because what's happening is once our families are housed, let's just say they're homeless when they come into our school, once they are out of the shelter and they're housed, then their students can still attend our school. So that means we give them the option of course, through our funding, we try to put money to the side for MARTA passes, gas cards, because we want the kids to be there. And so it was difficult for a few of them taking MARTA, and so the bus really came in handy, and then of course saved us from buying MARTA cards. We could put them all on the bus. So those 2 buses go from down Union City, College Park, and they're hitting all of the metro areas to bring kids to our school, because we don't want to uproot their education. It's almost like it goes back to, he left already, the McKinney veto. I remember in public school, if a kid becomes homeless, the McKinney veto keeps them in that school so they don't have to change schools, and it will come and pick them up out of county if necessary.
Well, I can see we're losing some folks already to the later services and events, but thank you so much, Martha and Ann and Keith, for being with us today. And a couple of other quick announcements. If we didn't get to your question, I think they can still take a couple questions if you want to come up or meet and introduce yourselves. Please save the date for January 19th and 20th, 2024. Thank you to our wonderful committee members, many of whom are still here today, but also we were remiss in not announcing our honorary chair earlier, the wonderful Mary Perrin, of course. So thank you all for coming, for staying, and for supporting the Ansley School. We couldn't be more excited to work with them. Thank you.